Good morning. Let's start with the opening chant together. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Punattu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, may the Supreme Spirit protect us. May the Supreme Spirit nourish us. May we work together with great energy. May our study be vigorous and fruitful. May love and harmony dwell amongst us. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Om Asato Ma Sadgamaya Tamaso Ma Jyotirgamaya Nirtorma Amritam Gamaya. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Om, lead us from the unreal to the real. Lead us from darkness to light. Lead us from death to immortality. Om, peace, peace, peace be unto all. Good to be here again together. So, today we are entering into a new chapter of the Bhagavad Gita called Vibhuti Yoga. Yesterday I was thinking that the beauty of language, Sanskrit, the word Vibhuti has so many connotations. The word yoga too has got so many meanings. Vibhuti Yoga, when we combine these two words, has a different meaning. And Yoga Vibhuti, Vibhuti Yoga has a meaning. Yoga Vibhuti has another meaning. And strangely enough, in this chapter, when Krishna we shall see, Krishna will speak about Vibhuti and Yoga. They have altogether different meanings. And the sense in which Krishna uses the term Vibhuti and Yoga, very soon we shall see, is very profound one. And lately I have been very much thinking about it. Not only its metaphysical meaning, but also its implication in our day-to-day life. We shall see that. So I believe to understand or reach the acme where we appreciate what Sri Krishna means by Vibhuti and Yoga, we have to take a hike, okay? And we have to take a hike, and this hike will be through different, what you call camps, before scaling a mountain. So suppose Everest, they have different camps. One camp, another camp, finally the summit. So to understand or appreciate the concept of Vibhuti and Yoga, we have to look a bit backward, which we already know, just it is better to have the background ready for appreciating that. So we know that the second section of the Bhagavad Gita, which is from chapter 6 to chapter 12, the main concerns or emphasis is threefold. One is trying to understand nature of God. What kind of God Sri Krishna is speaking about? Ishvara Sarupa. Second, in this section 6 to 12 comes the question of bhakti, or how to connect with that reality. And finally, God's grace, need of God's grace when we surrender. And if you remember the last chapter, 9th chapter, we ended up with a wonderful verse which kind of gives a summary of the progress or stages of bhakti that a devotee goes through. It is worth remembering. It was Manmana Bhava Mad Bhakto Mat Yaji Mam Namaskuru Mama Eva Eswasi Yukta Evam Atmanam Mat Parayana. So we saw that Mad Bhakto Bhava. First, someone is turning towards God. Okay, and Sri Krishna said that one can turn to God for different reasons. Arto, Artharthi, Jigyashu, Gyani, for need, to find the answers of some queries, questions, deep meaning. So that is the starting point. Turn towards God. Then Mat Parayana. Next stage is when one starts to feel that God is the ultimate goal in life. Connecting with that ultimate reality is the ultimate goal of life. Sri Ramakrishna says often that what is the goal of human life? That is God realization. Whatever our concept of God is, to realize that, or to understand who we really are in whatever path we are taking. So that is Mat Parayana, that me knowing that God is the goal. Then Manmana. Manmana is never forgetting the goal. Let the goal be at the background of the mind. That is making spirituality a priority in our life, in our day-to-day life. Madhyaji. Madhyaji is when a bhakta is taking every opportunity, every work as turning into a worship of the God. That is dedicating all work towards God. Madhyaji. Yaji has come from the word yagya, sacrifice. That is also a so loaded word. Sacrifice, we saw that earlier. So it is kind of dedicating every action, every thought even to God, Madhyaji. And Mam Namaskuru, that is finally total surrender to God. If someone follows this, they will definitely come into me. They will enter into me. The literal meaning word is entering into God. So that is wonderful to note. And if we remember the 7th chapter, which was a change of gear, the new paradigm from where it started, the second section of the Bhagavad Gita, understanding nature of God, Ishvara Sarupa. There Sri Krishna said that God has two principles, right? You remember? Paraprakriti, Aparaprakriti. Paraprakriti is God's consciousness principle, which remains unchanged throughout. And Aparaprakriti, the unconscious principle, as it were, at the beginning they remain like a seed in equilibrium, conscious principle and unconscious principle. And then in the unconscious principle starts modification, it starts transforming. First it transforms into 8 subtle things, 5 subtle elements: mind, intellect, and egoism. That ultimately becomes this visible universe. And Paraprakriti and Aparaprakriti. So the idea was God itself transformed into this universe. It is not the Gita idea of God, is not God who created the universe and became separate from it. It was God itself transformed into this universe. And this, with 2 principles, this consciousness principle, Paraprakriti, is present throughout, and transformation that is going on is in this Aparaprakriti, the unconscious principle. And Sri Krishna, if you remember in 7th chapter, not only wanted to make us understand this, but wanted to make us appreciate this, that God itself has become this universe. Do you remember what method he took? Okay. Yes, let's go to 7th chapter just for a while. So he said, all the excellent things in the universe is from me. That is, try to see, appreciate God, presence of God in all the excellent things, or the essence. Rasoham apsukantyo. In water, the fluidity, the waterness of water is nothing but God. Then the light of the all sun and all the solar system, try to see me there. Then he mentioned some human qualities. One was Paurusham Nishu, the humanness in human being, that is divine. Punno Gandho Pitibhyam. So whatever the fragrance that we get, aroma, try to appreciate divine presence there. Jivanam Sarva Bhuteshu. This is wonderful. The life principle in all the living beings, that is divine. I remember when I was a novice in our training center, Swami Tathagatanandaji of New York, he went and gave us a talk. And he, in that entire talk, and he is a very powerful man, he was thumping the table and saying that life itself is God. Life itself. And I think it has come from a profound realization. He had some profound realization. Life itself is divine. What proof else we need for the presence of God? So he was thumping the table. He said, I can prove the existence of God. Life itself is God. I can challenge anybody, come to me. So he was like that. And then he said, Tapaschasmi tapasishu. So we saw that tapas means hard work or grit or perseverance. That we see in people what is a great quality for success, accomplishment. Try to see divine beings, the divine presence in that. Buddhi buddhimatam asmi. Intelligence. Intelligence in Vedanta always means the faculty which decides, decisive faculty. So we are getting different types of information, sometimes confusing information, misinformation, disinformation. So how to know, how to discern which is right and which is wrong. This is buddhi. And that is also divine. Tejaha, tejasvina aham, tejaha, valor, the courage that we see in others, that is also divine. So we saw that upshot of all these things is, if we can appreciate the excellent qualities in others, that has several advantages. One is the qualities we have. We all have many qualities. So we will become humble about our qualities if we acknowledge that it is divine alone. It is divine alone. Second, if we appreciate these qualities in others, look, those are divine qualities, then we can get rid of envy, jealousy and things like that. If I see a good things in others which I was aspiring for, someone else is having, so it has come from God alone. We saw them. And we can really get rid of a great obstacle called pride. Pride. I know it will sound outdated to say that pride is an obstacle, especially in America. But I am reading a great book now, by the way. It is by Arthur C. Brooks. I admire him, a professor of Harvard Business School. His book, From Strength to Strength, How to Find Meaning and Happiness in the Second Half of Your Life. Second half of your life. Wonderful book. So he goes on to say that one of the values that is taught in America, that pride, to be proud of your achievement, accomplishments, and that is good. But he goes on to show with different studies that things that make us proud, that is the source of our pride, starts to decline in our 50s, and we still try to hold on to that sources of pride, which is not possible. Not possible. Why? I am coming to that later. And that makes us making more and more effort to retain that sources of pride. But instead, he of course quotes from Upanishads that in fact that is the time to look for meaning and sources of pride at other places which we have neglected. He cites the study taken by, guess what, UC Davis. UC Davis, a group of UC Davis social scientists did a study of thousands of participants, and they found that their peak of their professional life happens after 20 years of a career. After 20 years of a career, on an average, the peak of their professional life happens. After that, it is decline, because cognitive abilities decline. But because we were proud of our cognitive intelligence and our smartness, our accomplishments, we cannot reconcile with the fact that our capacities, those kind of capacities, he calls it fluid intelligence. Fluid intelligence is actually declining. So he says no matter what, and they have shown that this keeps on declining, and the person who was proud of his accomplishments or her accomplishments tries harder and harder to retain that pride, which ultimately does not pay. So he gives great example of musician Bach, right? B-A-C-H, how do you pronounce it? Bach? Bach. Okay. So he said that he was a great musician, and at the top of his musical life, he was at the height of his glory. His son became more popular than him with just 1 or 2 albums. Then Bach did a great thing. He stopped playing music anymore. He started mentoring others. And that made him, he probably did a journal, or a record of how to play each sonata or the pieces, and that has become a great asset to the musicians. So he said that was the kind of thing he understood. Now I don't have that capacity to anymore and perform like my son, but now I can teach just newcomers how to play music. And also he started recording it, writing it down, and that made him great again. So the thing is, when we here his approach is different, a devotee's approach. If we can appreciate that all the good qualities in me, in us, is ultimately coming from God, then we shall be humble about it, and we shall be also, I believe, flexible enough to embrace other forms of qualities, other qualities that we have that can feel us proud again. So that was the background that Sri Krishna wanted to remind us, that not only understand the fact that God is in everywhere, but try to recognize it, appreciate it. How? First start with appreciating the excellent qualities in others as well as in you, knowing them, all of them have divine source. Now, in this chapter, Vibhuti Yoga, he shows us some other ways of appreciating this fact. That is, not only the excellent things or not only the visible universe, but mental states of human beings are also divine. He goes on to mention 20 mental states. Mental states. Better to say, mental states. Let's look at them. So he says, Buddhir Jnanam Asammoha Shama Sattam Dama Shamaha Sukham Dukkham Bhavo Abhavo Bhayam Cha Abhayam Eva Cha Ahimsa Samata Tushtihi Tapo Danam Yasho Yashaha Bhavanti Bhava Bhutanam Matta Eva Pithak Vidha. So these are all states of being, mental states, all have come from me. Which are that? Buddhi. Buddhi, as we saw earlier. Jnana. Jnana means here not the illumination, but wisdom. Any wisdom, any information that we have processed, assimilated, and now we are able to apply in our life. Jnana. Then asammoha. Asammoha is opposite of sammoha. Sammoha means being deluded or being infatuated with something so much that we lose the capacity of clear understanding or clear thinking, clarity of thoughts. So asammoha means having clarity of thought that does not allow us to get infatuated with something and losing the capacity to think clearly. Asammoha. Then shama. Shama is forgiveness, the capacity to forgive others. That is shama. Sattam, truthfulness. In Vedanta, truth is three kinds: verbal, action, and also at the level of thought. So thinking true, speaking true, and doing the right thing. Damaha is, control of the organs or controlling our sense organs, disciplining our sense organs so that we don't become too much extroverted, so that we have more mental energy and time with us for engaging in spiritual practices. Samadhi is mental quality of being peaceful, having mental discipline. Dhamma and Shama, and we have seen in our production Anubhuti too, Shama, the control of mind, that is more important than control of the sense organs, because ultimately the mind controls the sense organs. So if we can control the mind, then controlling the sense organs also become easier. Then Sukham we know, happiness, pleasure. Then Dukkham, even unhappiness, sorrow, that is also divine. So this is something. Earlier he wanted us to see at the excellent qualities. Now he is saying that reality or divine reality is good and bad together. It is not only good, what we always aspire for, but the bad things. Nobody wants to be unhappy, but that also is divine. That also is divine. Bhava abhava. Bhava means taking birth or being existent. Abhava means not existing. So life and death, that also part of the divine. So don't think that this is good, that is evil. All these are part of the same divine reality. Bhayam. Bhayam means being fearful. Fear. So fear, that is also coming from that same reality. Has come from me. And abhayam, fearlessness, just opposite of fear. That also is from God alone. So what Sri Krishna is trying to show us, look, this is the beauty, I find. It might appear confusing sometimes, but this is the great truth, insight we are learning from Vedanta as well as our day-to-day life. That nothing is, black and white. Good, evil, happiness, sorrow, pleasure, pain. So these are not to be seen as, like black and white. Life is a mixture of all those things. And as they are showing us now again and again that the desire to avoid pain is a greater problem than facing the pain itself. That is, than facing because we can face pain or the unpleasant things quite well, but trying to avoid, being too active to avoid unpleasantness, they are finding is a problem in itself. Incidentally, a recent study came out, the usefulness of mindfulness meditation. So they studied groups of people. So for whom mindfulness meditation really worked. So they found those who wanted to do mindfulness meditation to attain peace of mind, that was their motive, peace of mind, or have a control of their mind, that was their main motive to do, or say avoid anxiety, they did not get much benefit from. But those who did not have these things in mind, but did mindfulness meditation to know better about themselves, to get a greater understanding about themselves, they had all these byproducts. They really had more peace in mind, less anxiety in mind. So the conclusion of the study was that motivation matters in mindfulness. The point is, when we are trying to being too much active about avoiding unpleasant things, that itself becomes source of pain. And we know that is the definition of anxiety, right? Not facing the real problem, but worrying about how I shall behave when the problem will come to me. Okay. So Krishna is trying in these two verses to show us that not only the excellent things which are divine, but also that so-called negative things which we want to avoid has also come from God. And what will be the benefit we shall see. Then ahimsa. Ahimsa is non-violence. That is a great quality. In fact, those who have read Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, they said that all the yamas and dhamma, 5 yamas, 5 dhammas, all are actually for strengthening this one quality called non-violence, non-injury. Not only physically but also mentally injuring others, verbally injuring others. Ahimsa. Samatha. Samatha means having an equanimity of mind. Equanimity, a balanced state of mind. Tushti. Tushti is satisfaction. Satisfaction. When we get contented. That is a mental state. Tapo. Tapo, we earlier also saw the endeavor, the hard work that we do to accomplish something. That state of mind, that also has come from me. Dhanam. Dhanam means charity. Charity, the charitable feeling, it's good feeling has come from me. Then yasho, ayasha. Yasha means fame. Fame that we can get. The praise that we get. That is divine. Not only that, ayasha, just opposite of yasha. That is criticism. Criticism that we receive. Remember, try to see that is also divine. And what will happen if we can do that? He will say that abhikampeno yogeno yujjate natra samshaya. Those who can practice this, those who can appreciate this, that even all these apparently conflicting qualities, all are from God alone, they will be able to maintain abhikampeno yoga. Abhikampeno means unfluctuating yoga. Unfluctuating. So they will be able to maintain the stability of mind, which is such a... In fact, one name of yoga is samatvam, maintain an even state of mind. So Sri Krishna is showing that for a devotee, it is possible to attain this equanimity, this evenness of mind, when they try to see good, bad, the pleasant, the painful, all having divine source. Then he says something, etam vibhutim yogam cha mamo yogetti tattata. Those who know my vibhuti and my yoga, they become steady and ultimately realize God. So this is what important. That is why this name of the chapter is Vibhuti Yoga. So Vibhuti, wonderful word. It has got several meanings. Vibhuti means expansion. Vibhuti means glory. Vibhuti also means ash. The ash that is, and which is connected with Lord Shiva. And that is why if you see that in every Shiva temple, when you go, they smear your forehead with ash. Okay, it is connected with Shiva. The idea is Shiva is the one, generous one, who resides in the cremation ground. The cremation ground where human bodies are being cremated after death, and human bodies are turning into ash. Ash. Okay. The idea is you came from ash, you have become ash again. And Shiva is there in amidst ash. That is when here cremation signifies, destruction, right? Which we are afraid of. Non-existence, death. And Shiva says, I am there to embrace it. And if you remember Sri Ramakrishna's vivid vision in Varanasi, he saw through his spiritual eyes that, in Varanasi there is a Manikarnika Ghat, which is famous for burning ghat, So all dead bodies are coming and they are burning those bodies in fire, right? Cremation fire, and fire is going on. They believe that if somebody is cremated there, they will be liberated from this cycle of birth and death. And Sri Ramakrishna had the vision when he was traveling on a boat through Ganga that each body being cremated and the subtle body is being released, and Shiva is uttering Tarak Brahma mantra at the ear of each subtle body. But that way the subtle body is getting freed. So idea is Shiva is the one who is connected with destruction, death. Shiva is there at the cremation ground, and the ash is Shiva's prasad, sacrament. So Vibhuti, and you will see many traditional Indians, they put 3 parallel lines after waking up, after taking shower, that is Vibhuti. So they are devotees of Shiva. So that is Shiva's blessings, Vibhuti. That also means Vibhuti. Incidentally, interestingly too, in India there are 12 Shiva temples, Jyotirlingas they call, And in one of the temples alone, Ujjain, they do a arati of Shiva at early morning at 3 a.m. with ash. It is called Bhasma arati. Bhasma means ash. So that is, at other places we see arati with light, flower and things like that. But it is a sight. I went to see it early morning at 3 at Ujjain. It was very cold, and there is a monk who does it, and he alone. It is a sight indeed, because all at that early morning there are hundreds of devotees around, and in the sanctum, inner sanctum alone, he is the monk, and he does, with ash for half an hour he does an arati. And it is all become smoky, and really a very mystical experience. Shiva and everything has become, dust around. Of course, that dust is not harmful or cause you sneeze, and it was an experience. So that is Vibhuti. Another meaning of Vibhuti is when we add the term Yoga Vibhuti, that is 8 superhuman powers, supernormal powers that are mentioned in 3rd chapter of Patanjali Yoga Sutra, Vibhuti Pada, that the capacity one can become with some practices, can gain some superhuman powers, like they can go anywhere they want without moving actually. They can become very subtle. They can get whatever they want. These 8 types of powers. And also one power is total control of desires. That is, one can get rid of all desires. So that is also Vibhuti. And yoga, the word has got so many meanings. So let's see how many meanings we get now. Let's start. How many meanings we know about the word yoga?
Union with God.
Okay.
Union with God.
Union with God. Okay. Then
Postures.
what's that?
Postures.
Postures. That is the asana. Yes, yoga postures. Okay. Any other?
Self-control.
Self-control. Yes. Self-control is yoga.
The 8 limbs.
The 8 limbs of yoga, that is 8 limbs of yoga. But the word yoga, okay. So, for example, Patanjali Yoga Sutra, yoga there means control, the total suppression of vritti. Samadhi there, okay. Yoga samadhu. In Patanjali Yoga Sutra, yoga is not union with God. It is rather total samadhi of the mind, having no vritti at all, samadhi. So 4. Any other? In Bhagavad Gita, how many ways we have found?
Ashtanga, I don't know what it means.
Ashtanga, she mentioned 8, yeah.
Oh.
Okay. You remember Sri Krishna told Arjuna, Siddho asiddho samo bhutva samattam yoga uchyate. That is, try to be even-minded, even in success, in failure, because that even-mindedness is yoga. So another meaning of the term yoga means even-mindedness. Okay. Any other? Okay, Sri Krishna said, if you remember 3rd chapter, Yoga karmasu kaushalam. Yoga is the efficiency or smartness in doing action. That is also yoga. Of course, their smartness meant to be unaffected by the outcome of the work, rather being focused in the word yoga. Okay. And another, I will say, there are many other meanings, but yes, go ahead.
Devotion to God.
Devotion to God, yes. Yoga in the meaning of, union with God, right. Another meaning was yuktaharo viharasso, yukta cheshtasu karmashu. Being moderate in activity, being moderate in food, being moderate in sleep. So moderation also means yoga. Okay, so 7 meanings so far we have got. Here yoga and vibhuti have been, the 2 words, vibhuti and yoga, have been used in 2 different sense. And I don't know how much I will be able to convey. The meaning is wonderful. So he says yoga. Yoga here means God's capacity to manifest in different mental states through different excellence, or even as the visible universe. The capacity, we may say the potential energy, that is called yoga. And vibhuti means its actual manifestation. That same potential when becomes kinetic. Okay, or you may say static and dynamic. So, for example, for today's talk, I had some knowledge. Okay, so that knowledge or some ideas, until I have expressed them, that is yoga. Okay, and suppose for any other reason I could not express. There could be many reasons. So it would remain in yoga form. And when I am expressing or trying to convey to you or communicate to you, it becomes expressed. That is Vibhuti. That is Vibhuti. Yoga and Vibhuti. And Sri Ramakrishna says at one place in Sri Gospel, this world is the realm of Shakti. So he is meaning this same thing. In this world, the world that we are seeing is the realm of Vibhuti alone. That is, we cannot appreciate the unmanifest. That is, you might have great knowledge, but you may choose to remain silent. Others may not appreciate that at all. We cannot recognize that. It's very difficult to recognize that. So the idea is this, as I say, in day-to-day life, that now they are recognizing one thing, that introverts, those who are not, in the meetings they don't speak much, they don't express themselves well, but they have extraordinary some capacity, power, if that can be harnessed. So earlier they thought that in a group, being extrovert is an advantage, but being introvert has great advantage. They are now only discovering now on the new research. Introverts have the capacity to think things through. Think things through. Very deeply, profoundly they can go through. And extroverts sometimes they are busy in, being upbeat about the ideas that have come up with and expressing to others. So, what Sri Ramakrishna pointed out that, what I want to say is that we can, this is our limitation, that we can only appreciate which has been expressed. Right? For example, we can only appreciate, how can we appreciate a spiritual quality of someone who has not given any talk, written anything? Can we? Can we? So it is in yoga form in that person. So sometimes probably what I wanted to mean is that sometimes we may see someone very popular as a lecturer or writer. We may not jump to the conclusion that person is really very spiritual. Okay. I mean, there could be many more spiritual people who have not talked. In fact, there is a saying that the problem of the world is the fools are, the fools are speaking, and those who have understood, they have remained silent. They have remained silent. So I don't want to conclude anything from this, but just have a thought about this idea that in any field there could be many more talented people, but we are not able to recognize it because power is in yoga form. It has not been expressed as Vibhuti form. And this idea runs through the entire Hindu idea. The static principle and the dynamic principle. The static Purusha and the dynamic Prakriti. And this entire universe is a combination of these two. Static and the dynamic. Static alone cannot do anything. It has remained in yoga form, and the Vibhuti, the power to manifest, when it has come out, that is the Prakriti or dynamic power. That is also said as, Shiva and Parvati. Shiva, the static alone, has the power to do it, and Parvati is the one who is actually doing it. executing it. Sri Ramakrishna gave one funny example for this. Once he was speaking about the Sankhya concept of Purusha and Prakriti, and the people who were present could not understand it. Then he gave the example of a typical Bengali family which is having a wedding ceremony. Wedding, and in Bengali houses, for wedding ceremony it goes for days, and a lot of relatives come and stay in the house before the ceremony, after the ceremony. So it's a month-long thing. So he says, to understand the concept of Purusha and Prakriti, that Purusha remains. Purusha is the consciousness principle. It remains as it is. Prakriti is the one which goes on through this dynamic process of transformation and ultimately becoming this visible universe. So he says that, have you not seen such in wedding ceremony? The house owner or the master of the house, he is just sitting by and smoking a hubble bubble, smoking and hubble bubble, and the lady is in charge of everything. So she is managing the kitchen, she is managing the guests, and her sari is stained with turmeric because she is running here and there in the kitchen, so turmeric probably has fallen. And she once in a while come to the living room and reports to the house owner, look, this I have done this way, that I have done that way, and this needs to be done, that needs to be done that way. And the person smoking hubble over, he says, yes, indeed. So Sri Ramakrishna says that is the static principle and the dynamic principle. Both are needed for the maintenance and existence of this universe. And if Sri Krishna says that one who can appreciate this thing, that good, bad, opposites, pairs of opposites not only remain as unmanifest in God, but also get manifested through our moods, our states of mind, our different mental disposition. Those who can appreciate this, they gain or become Peno Yoga, this unfluctuating state of yoga, through which they ultimately connect to God. Next, he will also bring up a great idea of Jnano Dipeno Bhasvata. We shall see later on that one who has attained this kind of qualities to be able to see God's manifestation everywhere, even in their internal states. To them, I kindle in them the lamp of knowledge, Jnano Dipeno Bhasvata. And Acharya Shankara gives one remarkable commentary on this word Jnano Dipeno Bhasvata. What is this lamp of knowledge, lamp of wisdom? So next time we shall see it, the lamp of wisdom. After we shall do the closing chant together, then you can share your thoughts and ideas, or if you want to ask something. Okay, let's do it together. Madhubata. Om Madhubata Ritayate Madhuksharanti Sindhavaha Madhirna Santoshadhihi Madhunaktam Utoshasi Madhumat Parthivagam Rajaha Madhudvau Astuna Pita Madhumano Vanaspatir Madhumagam Astu Suryaha Madhir Gabo Bhavantu Naha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Sweet blow the winds and the oceans give forth blessedness. May the herbs and plants bring us health and happiness. Sweet unto us be the nights and dawns. May every particle of Mother Earth be charged with blessing. May the heavens shower us with benediction. Sweet unto us be the noble forest trees. Sweet unto us be the shining sun. Sweet unto us be all living creation. Om, sweetness, harmony, peace. Yes.
Swamiji, it was a really rich talk. But the point of this chapter, according to Sri Krishna, is that it's beneficial to us to embrace Vibhuti yoga, which means the express, like God's manifestation expressed in all these different forms, in the good and the bad, and just embrace it all.
Yes, embrace it all and also appreciate that it has come from God alone. Because here, he is into bhakti. Now he is talking to the devotees. So here the entire, if you look at first 6 chapters, he did not mention the term about God. It was all related to yourself. Okay, related to yourself. So he spoke how to gain the equanimity of mind through being unattached to God. So you did not need any God about it. So here in the next chapter 6 to 12, all those qualities will be spoken of, but with the tinge of devotion. Okay, so how a devotee not only can reach that state of equanimity of mind, evenness of mind, but also how through appreciating presence of God one can do it, one can achieve that state.
So it's like an attitude of gratitude.
Attitude of gratitude, yes, right.
Say,
Gratitude
for everything.
Yes.
Okay.
Gratefulness. Any other thought? Yes, so one thing, as I told you that I was thinking of sharing with you. Even in Brahma Sutra, Acharya Shankara says this, that Sattva anitra mithuni kritva. That is a profound statement. That is, Sattva means, he means Brahman. And Anvrita means this appearance. And these two, being juxtaposed is what this world is made of. Okay, the reality and the appearance, or the static, the dynamic, the higher physical paraprakriti, aparaprakriti, the yoga, the vibhuti. So this we cannot escape. This we cannot escape. This world is like that. Yes, Vidyaji.
When you were talking about this, I remember something I read in Yoga Vashishta, where this is a statement from Ramana Maharshi. He talks about 3 levels of existence. Bhuta Akasha, Mano Akasha, and
Chidakasha.
Chidakasha. So being aware of that and, seeing, feeling that you're always attached to that is yoga also. Right?
Yes.
Yeah.
True.
Yes, we're all attached to our ground of existence.
Exactly. That is what Sri Krishna is trying to show us through different ways. So depending upon which attitude resonates with us. Through different ways, actually that is Sri Krishna's way to look at it as your ground of your reality, or if you want to have a personal relationship through the idea of God. Alright, next Sunday Swami Prapananand will deliver the talk. The topic is Sita, the silent power. Sita, the silent power.